I swear, if that smug son of a gun had said just one more thing, I might have shattered his jaw so bad he'd never flash that cocky grin again. It was a dinner I never asked for, one of those setups dressed up with candles and fancy wine. I had no clue it was a damn ambush. But there he was, Talon Redhawk, my wife's so-called co-worker. He was already there when I walked in, dressed like a fitness model in that tight black shirt, sitting like he owned the whole damn restaurant. And there was Waya, my wife, perched right beside him, hand way too close to his thigh, laughing loud at some dumb joke he told. She had asked me to meet her for a serious conversation over dinner. I thought maybe, just maybe, she was ready to fix what had broken between us. I was wrong. Dakota, she said, sweet as sugar, nodding toward the empty seat across from them. This is Talon. You've heard me talk about him from work. Yeah, I'd heard. Too damn much. The mentor. The one who understands me. He just gets me. That one always burned the worst. I sat down, forcing a tight smile while my fists clenched under the table. Then Talon leaned forward, eyes locked on mine like we were in some old Western showdown. His voice was calm, smug, too polished. I'll keep it simple, he said. You've got two choices, Dakota. Walk away quiet, or face me like a man. Wyatt didn't even blink. She smiled like it was some game. My ears rang. The whole room seemed to hush, except for the blood thumping in my skull. I kept hearing his words in my head. Walk away quiet, or face me like a man. He figured I'd just roll over, nod like a chump, and leave him to play husband with my wife. But I just took a breath, grinned, and stared him down. You want your teeth whole, or scattered? Then I stood and cleared the whole damn table with his face. Dishes smashed, wine splattered across Waya's white dress like fresh blood. People screamed. Talon tried to rise, but I dropped him back down with one good punch, fueled by every cold night, every lie, every ache I'd buried for too long. Waya shrieked, grabbing at my arm like I was the one shaming her. Dakota, stop. You're embarrassing me. Embarrassing her? After she dragged me here just to get dumped in public like yesterday's trash? Security rushed in. They yanked me out, blood on my shirt, glass in my hands. Talon stayed on the floor, wheezing, his alpha act leaking out all over the marble. Outside, I stood in the cold, staring at the door as it shut behind them. I didn't feel rage anymore, just silence, and one gut punch of a truth. She brought me there to watch me lose. That was not the start of the affair. It was the curtain call. She played me to the end, and I showed up like a fool reading from a script I didn't write. There was a time Waya looked at me like I hung the moon. That night, she laughed at my pain over lobster bisque. But that night didn't break me. It woke me up. When I got home, the house didn't feel like home anymore. Not the furniture or the colors, just the air. Her perfume hung in the hallway, but there was something else mixed in. Something new. Something masculine. I walked straight into our bedroom. The bed was made, tight like a hotel room. Waya never made the bed like that. I sat down. My palms were still raw from hitting Talon. My head buzzed like a wasp nest. I kept replaying the scene. His smug stare, her silence, and the way she looked so damn satisfied as they dragged me out. Then my phone buzzed. A message from her. You did not have to do that. You embarrassed yourself. Not a "are you alright?" Not even a "let's talk." Just cold blame. That was it. The switch flipped. I got up and started searching. Not because I suspected anything. I knew. I just needed to hold the truth in my hands. First stop, the closet. At first, nothing strange. But then I spotted them. A pair of red heels I'd never seen before. Expensive ones. Waya hadn't worn heels around me in months. Next, her vanity. I picked up her tablet. She never locked it. Thought I trusted her too much to ever check. She was wrong. The first photo hit like a gut punch. She was half-dressed, snapping mirror selfies in a hotel room I didn't recognize. The timestamp? Last weekend. She told me she was at her friend Ayana's baby shower in Portland. One more swipe. There was Talon in the background. Shirtless. Brushing his teeth. I could barely breathe. My eyes burned. There were more photos. More messages. Voice notes. His deep voice calling her my little secret. Her giggling like a teenager. She even called him daddy in one of them. I almost shattered the tablet. They made fun of me. She even told him. He still thinks we're just going through a rough patch. Poor baby. That cut deeper than any punch I threw earlier that night. Then everything made sense. The late-night work meetings. The sudden girls' nights. The makeup she never wore for me. The coldness. the sighs whenever I reached for her. She had left months ago. I was just some ghost floating around her life. Next morning, she walked in like nothing happened. Hair up, sipping coffee, scrolling her phone like I didn't even exist. I was sitting at the dining table, just staring at her. She looked up. What? I didn't speak. Just slid the tablet across the table. Open to the messages. Her hand froze mid-scroll. She looked at the screen, then up at me. What were you doing snooping through my stuff? She asked. I'm sorry. Not even a lie. Just that. I leaned forward. You lied to me. You manipulated me for months. You dragged me through the mud in front of strangers. You let that guy walk into our life like he belonged there, while you made me feel like garbage, and now you're mad that I found the truth. She just shrugged. You've been boring for a long time, Dakota. You stopped trying. I needed someone who made me feel alive again. My jaw tightened so hard I felt my teeth grind. And that's what you picked? A walking bicep who thinks a sentence needs flexing to finish. She smirked. At least he listens. At least he doesn't make me feel like I'm wasting my best years waiting for you to become someone you'll never be. That hit me like a slap. Right then, it hit me, she never really loved me. Not the real me. She loved the guy she imagined, the one who built the house, paid the bills, made her feel secure. But the second things got routine, she got restless. I didn't argue. I just stood up, went to the bedroom, and started throwing my clothes into a duffel. She followed. You're just gonna walk out? That's it. I zipped the bag. You already left. You just didn't say it out loud. As I passed her in the hallway, she mumbled something. I stopped. What? She stared me down. Cold. Shameless. You were never man enough for me. I didn't flinch. Didn't even blink. I just walked out with my bag over my shoulder, leaving behind the woman I once thought I'd spend forever with, in a house built on lies. But deep inside, I knew it wasn't over. Not yet. That night, I moved into a month-to-month rental. For plain walls. No memories. No scent of her perfume. Just silence. And God, that silence was deafening. Every time I shut my eyes, all I saw was her face. That smirk when Talon opened his mouth. The way she looked at me like I was some insect hovering over her wine glass. The messages replayed in my head. That voice? That wasn't the why I married. That woman used to dream with me. Talked about a house with a dog. Kids. A garden. Hope. This version? She whispered filth into Talon's ear. Laughed at my texts. Mocked me in voice notes. Said I was soft. Predictable. She even told him, he's the kind of guy who'd die paying off someone else's mortgage. He answered, good. Let him. That was not betrayal. That was dehumanization. I ignored her text for 3 days. Not once did she apologize. Just messages like, you overreacted, Dot. We can be mature about this, Dot. Let's talk terms. Terms. Like we were divvying up office supplies. On the 4th day, she showed up. I opened the door. There she stood, dressed like she wanted to look harmless, plain sweater, jeans, no makeup. Like the Waya I proposed to years ago on that beach in Monterey. Can we talk? She asked. I stepped aside. She walked in, sat down, crossed her legs like she owned the place. You've had your meltdown, she said. Now we need to figure out what comes next. I leaned on the counter. You're talking like you didn't blow our life to hell. She sighed. It wasn't working. You were distant. You didn't even see me anymore. I laughed. Bitter and dry. I saw you every damn day. I tried. You just left without walking out. And when you found a guy with biceps and 0 brain cells, you handed him what you swore was mine alone. Do not be dramatic, she snapped. It's not like I planned it. No. I stepped toward her. Then explained the hotels. The lingerie I never saw. The videos. The fact that this guy had the guts to tell me to walk out of my own marriage. Her mouth twitched. You're acting like I committed a felony. No, I said, staring her down. You committed a damn assassination. You killed the man I was, and didn't even bother to bury him. She stood up, anger flaring. I needed more. You never gave it. You just existed. Came home. Watched television. The same safe, boring guy I married. I pointed to the door. And instead of talking to me, you picked a side piece. Then acted like it was my fault. She moved toward the exit. You always need to be the victim. Maybe if you were more of a man, you'd still have a wife. I cut her off cold. No, I never had a wife. I had a parasite who smiled while draining me dry. She turned back, face like a thundercloud. You think you're the only one who got hurt? I wasted years pretending I was happy. You didn't pretend, I said. You lied. Then she said it like she was talking about buying milk. I've been with Talon for 6 months. And you know what? I feel alive again. 6 months. While I planned anniversaries, she planned motel meetups. While I worked overtime, she cried out in my car, in my bed, in my damn life. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. Good, I said. Then you won't care about what I did yesterday. Her eyes narrowed. What? I pulled a folder from the drawer. Dropped it on the table. Inside, bank statements. Transfers from our joint account. Screenshots of her secret credit card. Hotel bookings. Messages between her and Talon about moving money. I'd hired a guy I knew. Ex-cop. Quiet. Thorough. Why his face drained of color? Dakota, what is this? I looked her straight in the eye. Evidence. I'm filing for divorce. I'm keeping everything. And I'll make damn sure your muscle boy learns what happens when you poke a man who doesn't bark, but bites. She reached for the folder. I yanked it back. We're done. Get out. Her lips trembled. Just for a second. But it was too late for tears. Too late for guilt. I had seen the truth. And the man I used to be, the trusting one, the dreamer, he died that night in the restaurant. What rose in his place was someone else. And I wasn't finished. 3 days later, Talon showed up outside my work. Real movie villain energy, leaning against his black Dodge Charger like he was Vin Diesel or something. Sunglasses, tight shirt, smug as ever. He wanted a man-to-man moment, maybe even a half-hearted apology. When I saw him, something snapped inside me like I was back in high school, about to throw hands behind the gym. Dakota, he called out, acting like we were old pals. I didn't answer. You got a second? He asked, stepping into my path. I stopped, looked him over. Not worth it. But I couldn't just walk away. What do you want, Talon? He shrugged. Look, man. I didn't mean for it to blow up like that. I thought she'd break it off clean. Didn't know she'd drag you into that whole dinner thing. You thought, I said. You thought you could slide into my life. My bed. My wife. And I just walk away. He raised his hands. I get it. You're pissed. But hey, she made her choice too. I stepped closer. She did. And so did you. So let me clear this up. Whatever dream you had about taking over. It's dead. You're not the alpha. You're just the backup dancer who mistook the spotlight for his own. His smirk cracked a little. You should know. She's thinking about moving in with me. Good, I said. She'll look great next to your ego and your protein shakes. His jaw tensed. You don't scare me, Dakota. Then you're dumber than you look. Because you should be scared. He clenched his fists. This doesn't have to get ugly. You crossed that line 6 months ago, I said. Right around the time you started talking to me like I was disposable. Then I leaned in and said it again, low and slow. Do you want your teeth whole or in pieces? He flinched. Just barely. But enough. Because deep down, he knew he wasn't built for this. He was built for mirrors, not war. I turned and walked off, knowing this fight was no longer about fists. Back at the rental, I opened my laptop. Documents. Dates. Receipts. My lawyer was already working overtime. The more we dug, the uglier it got. Why I had used our joint account to take him on trips. Bought him a watch with my money. Tried to shift funds under her sister's name. She was sloppy. Arrogant. And worst of all, she flipped that switch like it was nothing. Later that night, she called. I let it ring 3 times. Then picked up. Dakota, she said, voice smaller now. Like she wanted to sound human again. What? I didn't expect you to react this way. Like what? Like a man who got lied to? Used? Tossed into your mess? I didn't mean to hurt you. Yes, you did. You just didn't think I'd hit back. She went quiet. I could hear her breathing. He's not who I thought, she finally whispered. I said nothing. I thought he'd be stronger, more protective. Translation. She thought he'd shield her from the fallout. There was a long pause. I made a mistake. I closed my eyes. Even though she just couldn't see it. No, why? I said. A mistake is forgetting a birthday. A mistake is saying something hurtful in the middle of a fight. What you did, that wasn't a mistake. You built this. Lie by lie. Week by week. Bed by bed. You didn't think I'd find out. You didn't think I'd burn it down faster than you could stack it. She opened her mouth to speak, but I hung up. I didn't need excuses. I didn't need her pity. I'd spent too long letting her twist me into a version of myself that didn't feel like me anymore. She made me second-guess everything, my worth, my strength, my gut. But standing there, with all the proof in my hands and the ruins of our marriage at my feet, I felt something sharp and clear cut through all the noise. Clarity. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about taking back what I'd let slip away, my name, my peace, and, hell, even my damn dignity. She could keep her bicep-blessed boyfriend. I had something better now. Freedom. And I was going to use it. The divorce moved quicker than I expected. I figured it was because Wyatt didn't want too much truth getting out in court. She tried to make it look clean, tried to frame herself as the poor woman who just fell out of love. But once my lawyer laid down the paper trail, the money transfers, the hotel bookings, the messages, her tone changed quick. She didn't cry, didn't yell, just shifted gears like a CEO protecting her brand. We had one last meeting. Formal, civil, quiet. She wore a navy pantsuit, no makeup, trying to look serious, respectable, like someone who couldn't possibly be the woman in those hotel selfies. I barely looked at her, but at one point, she leaned in and whispered, "Why are you doing this? You're humiliating both of us." I kept my voice level. "You're not embarrassed by what you did. You're embarrassed people saw it." She leaned back. I sharp. Didn't say another word the rest of the meeting. When it ended, I walked out with a clean slate and my head held high. She walked out with half her reputation shredded and her toy soldier texting her from the parking lot like a lost puppy. I thought I'd feel proud. Victorious. I didn't. There's no trophy for surviving betrayal. No applause. No fanfare. Just a strange numbness. And after that, a long, slow rebuild. Nights were the worst. Not the loneliness, just the echoes. The absence. The memory of fake laughter still bouncing off the walls. The way the sheets stopped smelling like her. How I'd still instinctively reach for my phone to tell her something dumb, then remember she was probably too busy in someone else's arms. I started going to the gym. Not to turn into him, but because I needed the poison out of my body. The rage. The sorrow. The humiliation. And funny thing, the more I pushed myself, the more I started to remember who I was before her. Not bitter. Not lost. Just me. One night, a buddy dragged me to a bar. Said I needed to see people again, breathe new air. I almost said no, but something in me needed the space. And that's when I saw her. Not Waya. Her sister, Aylin. She walked in with some friends and froze when she spotted me at the bar. After a second, she walked over. "Dakota, wow. I didn't expect to see you here." "Neither did I said. She looked down, fiddled with her drink, then looked up at me. "I heard everything." "I'm sorry." I nodded. "You didn't cheat on me." She gave a sad smile. I tried to talk her out of it. "You know? When I found out." She told me to mind my own business. Sounds like her. Aylin tilted her head. "You doing okay?" I shrugged. Some days better than others. She studied me for a second, then said, "Waya's always needed attention. Needed to win, even if it meant wrecking something beautiful." I looked at her. Did she ever love anyone? Aylin was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Only herself." Somehow, that helped. Later that night, I walked home under a sky so quiet it felt holy. The kind of night that makes your lungs feel clean. Like something toxic finally left your body. And for the first time in months, I smiled and meant it. Not because I won, but because I found peace. About a week later, I got a message that stopped me in my tracks. It was from Talon. "I need to talk. Man to man." I actually laughed. The same guy who flexed and smirked his way into my marriage now wanted to talk like we were equals. Still, curiosity's a stubborn thing. I agreed to meet him. Neutral place. Quiet cafe on the edge of town. He showed up late. Looked tired. Rough around the edges. The cockiness was gone. He sat across from me and didn't say anything for a good 30 seconds. Then finally he said, "I think I made a mistake." I didn't answer. "She's not who I thought," he went on. "She's beautiful, yeah, but she's..." He struggled for the word. "Poison," I said. He nodded. "Yeah, that." He looked down. "She used to talk about you. Said you didn't care. Said you ignored her. Said you hadn't touched her in months." I nodded slowly. "And you believed her?" He looked away. I wanted to. There it was. He needed me to be the bad guy, so he could sleep at night. Thought he was saving her. Turns out, he was just next in line for the same old game. "She's already seeing someone else," he said, voice low. That made me blink. "You mean, she's cheating on you?" He nodded, face full of shame. "Met him at her yoga class. Some guy with a boat. She swears it's innocent. Says I'm paranoid. But the signs. I know them now." He looked up at me. "It's like deja vu. Only this time. I'm you." I wanted to smirk. Wanted to say, "Told you so." But all I felt was tired. "You played your part. I told him. Now you get to sit in the chair you helped build. He rubbed his face. I don't think she's capable of real love. She's not, I said. She's capable of attention. And when it runs out, she moves on. He didn't argue. Just sat there, looking like a man sinking into a mess of his own making. I stood up. Good luck, man. I mean that. He looked surprised. You're not mad anymore? I said. But anger's heavy, and I've carried enough already. I walked out. Sunlight hit my face, warm, clean, and I felt lighter than I had in months. That night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I sat barefoot on my porch, bourbon in hand, with nothing but silence for company. No buzzing phone, no lies, no pretending. Just me. Betrayal feels like death at first, but later, you realize it was the start of something else. A harsh reset. A rebirth. Why I called once after the papers were finalized. Left a voicemail. I never listened to it. Just saw her name and deleted it. She didn't get closure. She didn't get the last word. That was mine now. I started taking weekend trips again. Hiking. Picking up old hobbies I left behind trying to save a marriage that was already rotting. Even reconnected with my brother. We hadn't spoken in a year. Why I used to say he drained my energy. Truth was, she just hated that he saw through her. Aylin texted me sometimes. Just to check in. A joke here and there. She never pried. Never pushed. She just let me exist. One night, she sent me an old photo from Christmas years ago. Me, Waya, the whole family. I looked at my face in that picture. The smile. The way I held her hand. I wasn't faking it. She was. That was the difference. I've stopped mourning what never existed. The love I thought I had, the marriage I thought we shared, that was my truth, not hers. And that's okay. Because now I have something she never will. Peace. Accountability. A soul that didn't rot when the lies came crumbling down. She's probably still out there, chasing attention like air, looking for the next guy to worship her until he sees the cracks. But me? I'm rebuilding, brick by brick. And this time, it's real. A few months passed. Seasons changed. I stopped counting days. Started counting small wins. Waking up without dread. Eating without that metallic taste of anxiety. Sleeping without dreams of her voice hissing lies. Then, one morning, I opened my email. There it was. From Why a Subject. Please, just hear me out. I stared at it. 5 minutes. Then clicked. Dakota, I know I'm the last person. She started the email like this. If you're reading this, it means you still care on some level. I wouldn't be writing if it wasn't important. Waya said she'd messed up. Said she saw it now. Claimed Talon was gone. Left her after she found out he was cheating. Now she was alone. She said she'd had time to think. About us. About everything. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She just wanted me to understand. Said she was lost. Wasn't trying to hurt me. Just chasing a feeling. Any feeling. Said the only time she ever truly felt seen was when she was with me. And maybe she didn't appreciate it back then. Maybe she was too blind to know how rare that kind of love really was. She ended with, "Can we talk? Just once. Please. Ash." I read it. Once. Then again. And I deleted it. Because here's the truth. She didn't miss me. She missed the man I used to be, the one who bent himself to keep her happy, shrank down when she needed space, sacrificed without asking for anything in return. But that man? He died the night she paraded me into a restaurant and tossed me away like trash. What she missed was comfort. The safety of knowing someone would always clean up her messes. She didn't miss my heart. She missed being adored. And that's the difference. By then, I was already seeing someone new. Her name was Claire. Met her by accident. At a used bookstore. I dropped a copy of The Stranger by Albert Camus. She picked it up, glanced at the cover, and said, "Heavy choice for someone with such kind eyes." We talked for an hour. Coffee came next. Then long walks. Then, nothing for a while. I didn't want to rush. I told her I had scars. She just smiled and said, "Good. Scars mean you're healing." She never pushed. Never asked for more than I could give. She just showed up. Real. Honest. Steady. With Claire, there was no pretending. No performing. I didn't have to prove I was worthy. Just be. She only asked about Waya once, when she saw the way my face stiffened at a text notification with that name. "You don't owe me the story," she said. "But if you ever want to tell it, I'll listen." So I did. One rainy Sunday, we were on the couch. Her hand in mine. I told her everything. Not for sympathy, but because it felt good to finally let it out. Set it free. Claire didn't interrupt, just listened. When I was finished, she squeezed my hand and said, "That was never about you." That was her broken reflection, trying to find a mirror. That line stuck with me. A few weeks later, I found myself driving past the old house, the one that used to feel sacred. It looked smaller now. Overgrown lawn, crooked shutters, like even the house had stopped pretending. I didn't stop, just kept driving. And I smiled, not out of spite, not because I won, but because I survived. Waya once told me I was too soft, said I wasn't built for chaos, that I'd fall apart without her. And yet, there I was, still standing, scarred, but steady, clear-eyed, whole. The storm came, tore it all down, and all it did was clear my view. Now, I saw the world sharper. I trusted my gut again. I laughed deeper. Losing everything has a strange kind of gift to it. It makes you treasure what's real. Like morning coffee with no secrets. Like quiet evenings with someone who means what they say. Like finally understanding that love isn't supposed to hurt just to feel alive. One evening, the sky turned velvet blue and the air smelled like change. I was sitting on the balcony of my new place, smaller than the house I left, but warmer in all the ways that matter. Claire was inside, barefoot, humming in the kitchen, dancing to some tune only she could hear. I watched her for a moment through the glass, and something in my chest finally settled. Peace. Not the fake kind that comes from ignoring red flags. The real kind. The kind you earn after walking barefoot through hell and making it out with your soul intact. I thought about Wire again, not often, but sometimes. Like a fever dream. A blur of pain and noise that no longer stung. She was a closed chapter. Talon. Just a footnote. And what I learned was this. Love without respect is just control. Loyalty without truth is a prison. And some people will keep taking until you forget who you are. But I also learned that surviving betrayal doesn't harden you. It sharpens you. It makes you more grateful for the soft things when they finally come back around. Claire came outside and sat beside me, pulling a blanket over her legs and resting her head on my shoulder. "You okay?" she asked softly. I nodded. "Yeah, just thinking about her." I paused, then smiled. Thinking about how far I've come. She didn't ask for details. Didn't need to. Some things don't need retelling. Just understanding, and then letting go. I looked out toward the horizon. A new chapter had already started. Quiet. Honest. Real. If I could talk to the man I used to be, the one sitting at that restaurant table, feeling like the floor had dropped out from under his life, I'd tell him this. You won't break. She'll try to make you believe you were the problem, that you weren't enough, that it's your fault. But she's wrong. You were the anchor, the heart, the one who stayed steady when she drifted off course. And when she walks away thinking she's chasing something better, she's just running from herself. Let her go. Heal. Grow. And when real love finds you again, it'll come in quietly, gently. It'll stay when everyone else leaves. And you'll know it's real. Because this time, it won't have to hurt just to feel alive. Claire squeezed my hand. I looked over at her, and for the first time in a long time, I said it out loud. I'm happy. And this time, I meant it.